Hey guys, how's it going? It's your MKS here, back in another video, and welcome to the second part of my list on Celtic versus Rangers. I was in list form about my ideas and thoughts rather than, I suppose, a match review and preview and review and all that stuff. But gosh, it's a lot to get through especially for my neurodivergent mind, dyslexia and all that kind of stuff, remembering things and getting them in the right order chronologically or whatever. I guess I'm trying not to be too pedantic. I'd say I hope this records as well as possible. And new technology, I'll go around new technology. It's a good day. I was going to say, hey, we won. The Celtic won. So a lot to get through because it went to extra time and all that, spoiler alert. But yeah, I'm not sure whether this might be a bit long, this video, so I'll try and get to the point as quick as possible, but please bear with me. But I do appreciate any likes, sharing the video, any new subscribers. I really appreciate that. That'd be really cool. So whether you're new or old, a new viewer or an old viewer, what's the word, young or old or whatever, I welcome your views anyway, whatever, both in terms of opinions and your views and your likes and your sharing of the video and whatever else, especially amongst Celtic supporters, those with a soft spot for Celtic or whatever, or even Rangers supporters if they want to get involved, whatever, people are into soccer or footy or whatever. Generally, please let me know your opinions. If you watch the game, please let me know your opinions or whatever. But yeah, for regular viewers, not that many regular viewers, but for viewers on my channel, this is soccer supporters, fans, and all that kind of thing generally. But I welcome even viewers from the opposition, but and people who disagree with me as well. So even Rangers fans and fans of other teams, welcome to comment and all that kind of thing. I guess as human beings, I don't wish them bad, but I wish their football team bad. But anyway, I know I'm wearing blue. I was thinking that, I don't know if I should say this. I was wondering, should I say these points because they might be a bit trivial, but I wore my scarf, my Italian scarf before, but this time I decided not to. But some people say it's like the wrong colour scarf, but then we mock them for banning green and that kind of thing. So I think it would be bad if we did the same thing and banned blue just because Rangers playing blue. But my favourite sports team, which is the Italian football national team, wears blue, so it's a bit of a dilemma for me. Obviously, Inter Milan wear black and blue. But anyway, on to the game and on to the day. So I woke up a bit later than planned. Just trying to remember my day today. I hope these are not too trivial things, but I promise I will get to the game. But I woke up a bit later than planned. I would have liked to have woke up a bit earlier. And then I fed the cat, who's on the steady next to me. And then I had to borrow some money off my mum so I could go and get some drinks and whatever. I don't drink alcohol, but I suppose it get a bit funny if you drink it. If you sit in a pub and you don't drink in it, I thought it'd be a bit unfair to expect my dad to pay for the drinks and that kind of thing. He might be a bit orange, but yeah. So I walked there, and it took me about an hour to walk there. I was very tired because I suppose one, I don't walk as much as I used to, so it does get a bit tiring if you don't walk a lot. I think when you're trying to do just like things, getting used to them. When I walk quite regularly, it's not so tiring. And also, I think I'm carrying a bit of weight. My metabolism has caught up with me. It's my own fault with my diet and things like that. But it was a good walk, I think. I don't know, 4, maybe 5 or 6 miles or something like that. Maybe, give or take. Something like that anyway, not 100% sure. Anyway, I got to the pub just about on time for the kick-off and got myself a drink and all that kind of stuff. And I kept having to pee. So if that's too much info, but maybe that's because I was nervous about the game. But anyway, thankfully got there in one piece and I got there on time. And I watched the game and I was really nervous. And again, trying to remember the game, I think we started off really well. We started attacking them again. Please bear with me. This might be a bit long because I want to go through the list. I want to go through the match sort of reaction as well. So I'll try and get to the point as quick as possible. But yeah, trying to remember my neurodiverse mind, my dyslexic mind, and that kind of thing. But yeah, so, and also, let's say, trying to get into order. But yeah, I think, and again, these are my personal opinions as well. I say again, but when I make these videos, they're my own personal opinions about football or whatever, soccer again, or whatever you're going to call it. But we attacked, and I think we were doing really well, but we weren't capitalising on our chances. And then I thought they were getting back into the game. But I always get nervous because you never know. They could turn on a style like that. And under their German manager, then manager, German, so can be very organised as well. I don't know what this guy's all about, but I hope it's not too good. And I mentioned before in part one about how I worry about whether Martin O'Neill is a bit too old, a bit old school or whatever. But yeah, try not to jump ahead of myself as well. So we started off quite well, and then we got a goal, but it was ruled offside, and everyone's jumping up and celebrating. I got up and I was like, yeah, but part of me was still thinking though, don't get too excitable, just because I thought they could still get back into the game. But I assumed it was a goal. But looking back, I probably should have known he was a bit offside. And I think that was probably about the only one of only about two decisions the referee got right. I was thinking when I went for my shower, trying to think of ideas to go for this or think about the game and match review or whatever, and refresh myself after a shower, refresh my thoughts or whatever. I thought. A lot of time I kept thinking this is going to be one of them days, another one of them days or whatever. But where maybe we have chances and they score. I mean, it's happened to them quite a few times, to be fair to them. And I thought they defended really well. They played pretty well. And we're probably unlucky to lose, maybe, in some ways. But then again, the ref gave them so many decisions, which I hope comes out. If I was going to give him a percentage out of 100, it would probably be 1%. Well, a mark out of 100, so 1% basically. I like to score out of 100, but I mean, maybe 10% out of push. That's a bit of a discrepancy, but I thought he made one or two decisions that were correct, and the rest he got wrong. I think maybe give him 2%. But we got a goal, and then it was a comic goal as well. One of their players, this black guy who plays from in defence, I don't know his name, but he was quite good, but he knocked the ball. This time he made a mistake. He hurriedly cleared it, and it hit Nico Raskins, their player, and I think he's Romanian, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it hit him and it went in. I was like, yeah, we all celebrating. I thought that's a comedy of a goal when I saw it back in the replay. But then it was chalked off for offside. And to be fair, it looked like it was offside. I think your whole body should be past the defender if you're offside, but it was kind of marginal. But I felt he was offside, especially given the rules the way they are. And even maybe at least some of him was offside, if not all of him, which is a shame because I thought Maeda is one of our best players, if not our best player, running him between the lines, running past their defenders, keep running at them and all that kind of thing. And he kept tackling and running back, winning the ball, playing really well, and the referee kept giving fouls, which I thought were definitely, in my opinion, were not fouls. But then we got a corner and finally we scored, and I was thinking, before the game, I thought it would be funny. I forgot to mention in part one, actually, it'd be funny if we scored from a corner. I was thinking about that. And but we scored from a corner from a header. And I was thinking, like, what a difference it makes if you just get the ball into the box. But then we sat back a bit. And in fact, sorry, before that, this black guy who plays up front for them, again, I don't know his name, but he missed a really good chance that came through. And we sort of gave a free shot away. So there's lots of things I think we could improve upon. I think we gave away the ball quite a lot. Schmeichel gave away the ball quite a lot from goal. I think our midfield gave away the ball, could do a lot better at keeping the ball, be more direct as well. Jumping ahead of myself a bit, someone said the thing about Martin O'Neill, one disadvantage is he does go very defensive, and we sort of allowed them back in the game. But it was just 1-0, and that goal could have been enough. But yeah, when they missed, when we had our goal ruled offside, and then they missed. Before, I thought it was in the back of the net when I saw it because I couldn't see it properly. Where I was sitting, I was struggling to see a bit, so I was struggling to get a seat close enough, and I'm short-sighted as well, and I don't wear my glasses because I don't know where they are. Nice lights, don't know. But so they missed that chance. So I was like, yeah, thank goodness. But so when I saw it, I thought this is going to be one of them days. I thought it was in. I don't know if it was dying Monday or something like that, but. Anyway, one of their players missed a golden edged opportunity. Probably won't sleep tonight after that one. But I was wondering whether I was going to go back home straight after the game. But it's all depending on how the game goes. Because I did want to go for my granddad nap and then make these videos and whatever. Which would have been a lot different had we not seen this through. But I suppose I gave a spoiler alert. But then at 1-0, one of their players. To be fair to him, he had a great bit of skill, knocked over our player's head, and I think he was really unlucky because he went for the ball and he kicked our player, and it looked like he hit him right where it hurts, right in the middle. Only blokes will know what that feels like, I think. If you're lucky enough, don't know what that feels like, but or maybe it was just at the top of his leg or whatever. But it was very high, which nowadays means you get sent off. So we had a player advantage. And I thought, please don't blow this. And right at the end of the game, I thought to the end of normal time, quite a few things happened. But I kept saying like cross the ball. One thing is I thought I'm really quiet compared to other Celtic supporters. You might think you're a proper Celtic supporter, you're not shouting and all that kind of thing. We're known for doing that kind of thing. And I guess I don't know what people think about Rangers, whether they think and I suppose their supporters are passionate, but from what I don't follow their stuff that much, to be fair, other than how it relates to Celtic. So I wouldn't really know, like, if their supporters are really passionate. I know they're passionate, but I don't know what the atmosphere is like that. But they claim to have a great atmosphere. But and it was a neutral ground, but a lot of people say Celtic Park has a greatest atmosphere. And I think that, obviously I'm going to be a bit biased on that, but that's what I've heard people say. And I think that having not gone to an Old Firm game or whatever, or even to Celtic Park. Obviously, I'm not going to go to the Rankers ground, but I think that we were out singing them, like people singing Martin O'Neill's name, and then we hit the bar, and then afterwards they got a penalty right at the end of normal time, as they say, and just trying to think if there's anything that happened in between then. It might be when our player got a yellow card for kicking their goalkeeper's head. I think he did try and go for the ball, but I suppose they could argue that could be a red. They might have some argument on that. But I thought the referee was giving them so many decisions. Obviously, he got their player sent off. He sent their player off, sorry, I beg one. But other than that, I think he gave that was the only decision pretty much in the whole game, barring our goals, which he allowed to stand, which were clear goals. He was giving them everything. I think that's the only decision he gave us all game, which was everything else he gave them decisions, and like gave our players yellow cards. I thought in a minute he's going to send one of our players off, but I was hoping dies on my or someone doesn't get the yellow. But then Callum McGregor. I was thinking actually when we were 1-0 up, Liam Scales made a great tackle when we were cut open. So a few times we were cut open defensively, which was a bit of a concern going forward, and we gave away the ball. Kasper Michael gave away the ball quite a lot, but he made some great saves. If I was going to give him a score, it probably was about 66%, maybe 70 at push. I was thinking between 60 and 70 because he made some great saves in crucial times, like he stood up and made saves that with his leg and things like that. But he gave away the ball like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times in really dangerous situations where they could, if they were a bit sharper, they would have capitalised. In Europe, we'll pay for those giving away the ball a lot, but I don't really care about the European games. But for those who want to see something do well in Europe, it's a different story. But sorry, I did want to talk a lot about the game before I went on to the list. I was wondering whether I should make a separate video to talk about the game, but I think I'll do this because I already put 2 brackets, so like part 2 couldn't fit the whole title in. But so yeah, I'm just trying to know if I get it in chronological order. But they got a penalty now. Our defender, the one who got a yellow for kicking their goalkeeper in the head, but again, I think he went for the ball. They would probably say he should have been off anyway, but and they wanted him to be sent off for that because it was going towards goal. But I think he did get a yellow, if I'm not mistaken. But or maybe not, because he already got a yellow, maybe not. But I'm sure it was the same player. Anyway, it was our player who got kicked. I beg your pardon, sorry. It was, I'm trying to remember again, sorry. It was, what's his name? Anthony Ralston, who I thought played some really good balls going forward. I'd love to know from Celtic Sports, who do you think was man of the match for us? And if you think any of their players played well, and how to me they looked like they were diving a lot and stuff like that, in my opinion. And we kicked the ball out of play, and they carried on, took a throw and carried on when they were supposed to give the ball back to us. For quite unsporting. I know it's a big competition, but I think there can be quite a lot like that. But yeah, there was a penalty, but our defender, Anthony Ralston, I think first of all he was pushed, and VAR didn't pick up on that, and also there was no way he could have got out the way. He jumped to block it, but to me that was never a penalty. I'd love to know what neutral supporters think, whether they agree or disagree, and Celtic Rangers supporters, and being as honest as possible. I like to think I'm a fair and honest supporter, even though I want Celtic to win, but to me that was never a pen. But they got that pen when they got back into the game. I thought, we blown it. And I thought, especially if we went to penalties, because then our numerical advantage would be null and void. And it's like anyone's game. Although we have beaten them on penalties before, but they would have had the psychological advantage, especially if they go first. But then Callum McGregor stepped up, Captain Cal, who is another one who gets a lot of criticism, just like Liam Scales, who made a great tackle earlier on. Someone says he saved the day, but I thought it's a bit too early to say that. But I was thinking to myself, I didn't want to jinx it at any point in the game, but I was sort of saying my prayers, hoping for anything to help us win, like any sort of decision or whatever. But again, all the decisions went against us. I was hoping, like, God would help, like if the ball was going wide and he'd steer it in or whatever, or if the ball was going in for them, he'd steer it wide or something like that, he or she, depending on what you believe about God. But anywho, yeah, so Callum McGregor stepped forward and scored. I know he's very good at scoring from outside the box, and their goalkeeper, ironically, was probably one of their best players, if not their best player, and he let that ball through. So they'd probably say typical from their point of view, but I think they said that in a final where he made the mistake, which led to our goal, which Adam Ida scored. So in close games, we beat them quite a few times, but yeah, I think we were really, we kind of rode our luck. I mean, our passing was really poor. We didn't capitalise on having an extra man for most of the game. I know sometimes that can bring spirit onto the opposition, but lift their, like, make them play for each other rather. Sorry, which shouldn't really cripple their spirit, but it shows the power of psychology. Like some of our supporters in the bar were saying, we should keep the ball because they've got to play less to get them tired, which I think makes sense. But when we went forward, it seemed like we were trying to walk the ball in. I couldn't see us scoring a goal, which we needed a second goal really. But I was thinking that's the difference when you shoot. So many times I thought someone should have a shot. Maybe it will hit one of their players' arms, or as long as they hit the target, it could take a deflection, could hit one of their players' arms and they get a penalty, or whatever could happen, cause problems in the box. But we didn't do that enough, I don't think. And then I often thought we should cross it as well. So one thing I was thinking of, what if we score from a set piece, like especially a corner, which we did. Another one is like, why don't you just shoot? That's what happens when people shoot. Another one is when we cross the ball and we got a third goal. So I think that's pretty much all the incidents. I hope I didn't forget anything, but I probably should have covered some of that in part 3, so the video was not quite as long. But yeah, so we won. That's the most important thing. So in cup games, I suppose it's not necessarily just how you perform. Most important is how you win. But going forward, I am a bit concerned. I think we've got to get our passing sharper. We've got to be quicker, getting the ball forward, getting the ball out the wing. Possibly not taking too many touches, passing a bit sharper, passing inside, cutting the ball in. A few times where I thought we could have cut the ball in, a few times we have crossed the ball a bit quicker, sometimes where we tried to take on too many players or take too many touches or whatever, but and that kind of thing. But those are my opinions. Obviously it's easier said than done watching from afar and not being on the pitch. People might say if they see me play, they'll be like, you're out of breath after 5 minutes and you pass the ball astray, but I'm not being paid minutes to play. So anyway, on to I think that covers everything for the match review. Yeah, match review. I get preview and review mixed up. But anyway, onto the list. So these are points list number 11 to 20. Sorry, that was an ultra long intro. I probably should have saved all that as I say for part 3. But I really want to talk about the game. But number 11, I talked in part 1 about how partly think I should have left the match review to right at the end. But I talked a lot about how about the worst and then how I wanted it. Ideally, not ironically, I wanted it to get better and better to talk through. Like, so to talk about from one being the worst situations, like if Celtic, heaven forbid, were involved in a match scandal or something like that, some bribery or corruption or something went wrong, and we got demoted, or if we went out of business, worst of all. Second worst would be if we got demoted. Third worst would be if we got a points deduction, and beyond that, like if we got fines or things like that, which would damage us financially. And of course, we went through a scandal that put off investors and sponsors and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I hope over time I'll talk more about the positives and get more and more positive as time goes by, except for point number 13, spoiler alert. But yeah, the match reaction, I think number 11 has been like difference and changing and changes and all that kind of thing. And the match reaction would have been a lot different had we lost this game. Way different. And I was going to go home, and then my dad said, what do you want to do after? I said, we'll go for another drink. And then I told him afterwards I was going to go home, but I wanted to celebrate. So that was my celebration drink, but I thought I should probably be a lot happier. I know it's only football, it's only soccer, whatever you want to call it, footy, soccer, Calcio football, whatever you want to call it. call it. But to me, it is quite important, and it does lift my day up. And I think if Celtic give away 10% of our revenue, and hopefully be tax exempt, give away 10% of our revenue. I have to think like revenue or profit. I think revenue, because obviously that's be more, and also and then get it off our taxes or whatever, and also give away our prize money to good causes and sponsors match that, which I talked about in the past. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I hope Celtic does as well as possible, of course. Number 12, I hope we can continue on. I hope this will bring momentum for the rest of our season and we can go on and win. Hopefully, go and make sure we win this final, because I think it was this final we messed up against Aberdeen. So hopefully, right the wrongs of that one. Make sure we're not complacent. We go out and thrash them and don't let St Mirren ruin our party. Obviously, it'll be a party for them. I don't want to be too arrogant and say we're going to beat them or whatever. So I never want to be too arrogant and that kind of thing. So hopefully we can go in. Well, I don't want to be arrogant at all, really, but I hope we can go out and enjoy it and win and then celebrate, but win after the game, as I say, as Jose Mourinho says. And Ange Postecoglou used to say, we don't stop during the game, we stop at half time, and we stop at the end of the game when we're celebrating, but during the game we don't stop. So yeah, I hope we'll go and beat St Mirren, preferably. I think maybe it would be a bit harsh if we beat them like 6 or 7-0 or something like that, or 6 or 7-1 or something like that. Maybe a closer game, just to make it interesting. Obviously, I'm not saying we should go out there and give them a chance or anything like that. Obviously, we'll do our best, but I'm just thinking an ideal score would be a bit harsh on St Mirren. But if we've got to go out and make sure we put the right the wrongs of last season, like put that wrong right, and hopefully Callum McGregor can score, because he deserves it for scoring today. A really good goal, I think, and with the effort in it, and also be great to see our captain score, I think, and also Strucker will have the best game of his life and just, or whatever, have a great game and just set loads of things up and play really well. But yeah, it'd be great to see him score a goal, or even a couple of goals, or even a hat-trick, because of last season, I'm sure it was a Premier Sports Cup where he missed the penalty on his saved or whatever. Same sort of thing, I guess. From the goalkeeper's point of view, it might feel better if he saves it. But I missed it, so I didn't see what happened there. But yeah, I was very disappointed. So hopefully, I mean, it won't completely make up for it, but we can move on and hopefully win, as I say, at least the league, and hopefully this cup. We're in the final, so we're halfway there, and hopefully we can catch up with Hearts and win the league, most importantly, and hopefully win a treble. That would be cool. Number 13. Having said that, talking about some of our fears, it's a difficult one to say. Now, I hope I don't jinx it by mentioning point number 13. But sometimes I wonder, like with Rangers, I don't know what the rules are, but they got demoted because of a tax scandal where they cut their money on their taxes or whatever. And I thought, in the past, unfortunately, and this is kind of something that I think is quite shameful as a supporter, it's a shameful part of our history, although Celtic was founded as a charity and things like that. It's something I mentioned in the past, including on Facebook, which is like a child abuse scandal, which is really embarrassing, of course, and hopefully not too many people were involved. Well, one is too many, but hopefully not a massive amount of people were too involved in it. And I hope most Celtic supporters, as well as the club itself, will condemn such and learn from such and whatever. But I sometimes wonder what, like, if there was a punishment where we would get relegated or whatever for that. I know some people would say that's what we deserve, but obviously that's not what I would want to see. But thinking about my fears, I was thinking that what if that was the thing that got us demoted, and after mocking our rivals, if we got demoted, and also it's quite embarrassing, and also for potential investors and sponsors, they might think, oh, I don't want to be associated with that if people talk about that so much. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that anyway. Right, so I hope I haven't jinxed it by mentioning point number 13. But moving on, number 14, I suppose we get fined for that. We should pay for it, which is fair enough. Hopefully we'll pay a fair amount to victims of abuse and learn from it and have a safeguarding team, which we do. I think Celtic was one of the first clubs to have a safeguarding team. So yeah, hopefully in the future we'll make sure that sort of stuff doesn't happen. And maybe a new board can come in and make sure that stuff doesn't happen. But I was thinking, I know I mentioned in point number 1, in part 1, the first thing I mentioned was about what if we got in trouble for a scandal. I was thinking like the the abuse scandal or whatever other scandal it might be. But I was thinking at the same time, especially with the ref today. I mean, refs make mistakes, but they're only human after all, just like footballers and whoever else. But the amount of mistakes he was making, and a lot of people say they say anyone but Celtic, and they say that the refs are supposedly Freemasons. And I thought, what if, because officially these Catholics are banned from Freemasonry, so they reckon there's not all Celtic supporters, and so not all Celtic players either are Catholic, but they reckon that because of the link and the fact that Rangers are more Protestant, that they have more influence over referees and they go to the same sort of lodges and are friends with each other. And I wonder if a scandal came out which said that Rangers were bribing refs or being friends with refs and getting favourable decisions, like going in their bar and having pictures, like they say about Brother Beaton and that kind of thing. They even had placards saying Brother Beaton was at their ground and all that kind of thing, and their lodges and whatever. But I was thinking it'd be interesting, no offense to Freemasons or whatever, but generally speaking, but I think it would be interesting if, like, what happened to Juventus, which is quite sad for me as a supporter of Italian soccer more generally, even though Inter are their rivals, but I love all Italian teams. I'm mad like that. I was thinking, what if there was a scandal involving Rangers and referees, and Rangers got maybe demoted, or relegated, demoted, whatever you call it, and loads of fines and things, or at least fines, and it helped Celtic to win so much, and that kind of thing. And at the same time, I think Celtic should be punished for things like bad supporters' behaviour, any law breaking that happens by supporters. Although you can't control all your supporters. But yeah, especially if it's by the board or the club itself, and like the child abuse scandal that happened, obviously paying the victims, which I think is really important. I think it's really important to mention that, not shy away from it. That's sweep under the carpet. That's our rivals' claim. But yeah, I hope at the same time, I think Rangers should be punished for their crimes, like when they go on a rampage and attack cities and damage property and things like that, and that kind of thing, like they did in Manchester and in other places, and also for like colonialism and that kind of thing. I suppose I could have said in point number 13, again, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm not a big fan of Catholicism. I support Celtic as an anti-imperialist instead. I hope that makes sense. A bit quirky, but so yeah, I have different reasons to support the club compared to other Celtic supporters. But I wonder if like Catholic groups could help to pay any debts that the club has, and even if the club gets into any difficulties, trouble, or whatever, or especially debts, that like Catholic groups and organisations could pay off some of those debts or whatever for the club to make up for like how the Rangers sing like "No Pope of Rome" and laughed at the Pope's death and things like that. Again, I'm not Catholic, but hopefully that will inspire Catholics to support the club. And also like the racist stuff Rangers said about Far Eastern people from Japan, and that includes people from all over the Far East because of their appearance. I think hopefully that will encourage people from the Far East, even China, Japan, Taiwan, and places like that, to support Celtic, and maybe even help people from the Far East to unite it together more, like China and Japan, to work together more, unite together more. I'd love to see Asia being more united and that kind of thing. But hopefully, one of the things I hope they'll be united behind, as well as each other, is Italian soccer and Celtic as well. Hope that makes sense. Number 15. So yeah, hopefully things will get progressively better. Hopefully this will bring momentum, confidence, and that kind of thing. We stopped our rivals, our biggest rivals, from winning a trophy. Not completely, because they could. I think they're still in the other cup, and they could still come back in the league. I suppose unfortunately, they did have good signs, and we did give the ball a lot away, and we've beaten them in the cups before, and they've gone up to beat us in the league in certain games. So it's still possible, but hopefully this will bring more confidence. I think we still need to sharpen up with passing and moving the ball and that kind of thing. And again, I'd love to see the club giving away 10% of our, I'm going to say equity then, 10% of our revenue to good causes, and also any prize money we get. Maybe like, for instance, to neurodiverse entrepreneurs, to black empowerment projects, to support the Irish diaspora around the world, to support tackling poverty, to limit homelessness and try to work towards ending homelessness ideally. or at least try to do that, even if we're unable to do it. And so many other great things like that. And hopefully that will encourage more supporters and also investors and sponsors into the club as well. I suppose some people already support the club because of the work it does with Palestine, and some for the charitable work the club does and things like that, I'm sure. Moving on, number 16, I hope again that Celtic can go on and win so many trophies and hopefully stop them from winning any others. We've stopped them from winning one because they can't win this trophy. They're struggling in the league, so they'll continue to struggle there. And although they played some good football, they made some great blocks. I'll give them that. And I think their player was really unlucky to get sent off, to be fair. I mean, it was probably the correct decision, but it was a great bit of skill before that. And there were a couple of bits of skill that I thought opened us up. In fact, I think when they got their penalty, it was when the player did a bit of skill, knocked it over our players. So that is a bit worrying for the future, but hopefully we can build on it. Number 16, I'd love to know what other people think could benefit Celtic. What are the best ways to support Celtic as a supporter, a fan, but also financially, how can the club attract investment from investors and funding from sponsors and investors and that kind of thing? And could the club work with politicians, councillors and whatnot to ensure that they help young people to get into football and do a lot of charitable work, and in return get more funding and tax cuts? I'd love for us to be tax exempt, but instead of paying money towards like taxes, to use that money for good causes that are directed towards making sure things are better, providing healthcare around the world, education, teaching, training, shelter, food, drink, and all those sorts of things that people need. And number 17, thinking about my imaginations, again, I'd love to see Celtic win as many trophies as possible. I dream of winning a treble this season and next season and so many into the future, and win, maybe even overtake Al Ahly as a top club in the world for winning trophies. And then in the future, maybe we can even try and win things in Europe. But at the moment, I think we should focus more domestically. At half time, I went to a Subway, and I was thinking, this is my fantasy for Celtic to win, and also I love Subway, and I saved my sandwich for later. But anyway, nice life story. I'm trying to stick on topic, sorry, way behind schedule as usual. But I did say it was going to be long, to be fair, but I didn't know. I was hoping I could get to the point quicker. But my imagination's like I'm getting loads, like millions, billions, or even trillions of investment into Celtic. Hard to imagine, but using my imaginations, neurodiverse people, like if there's a neurodiverse millionaires network, neurodiverse billionaires network, and in the future even neurodiverse trillionaires helping Celtic to get billions or even trillions of dollars, pounds and whatever. The more money the club gets, so if it gives away 10% of the equity, imagine how much good it could do, especially if that was directed to things that make a genuine difference. Again, I know it was terrible about the drug abuse scandal that happened at the club, to be fair, if I'm honest, of course, but obviously being honest about that happening, rather than sweeping under the carpet as rivals accuse us of. But with so much investment, the club could help people, young and old alike, disabled people and all sorts of people, and do a lot of good with that work, helping people in Jamaica who are going through Hurricane Melissa, helping people in Jamaica and across the Caribbean, helping people across Africa, Asia, Latin America, and all over the world. And hopefully it will come back to benefit the club, because it will make the club look better and get more supporters, more fans, more supporters, and more investors and sponsors. And if and when hopefully Jamaica will recover and build their economy back, and people from Jamaica might say, oh yeah, you supported us in our hour of need, and now we're going to support you, including financially or whatever. So Jamaican entrepreneurs, celebrities and whatnot could support and invest in the club. But I've got loads of imaginations on the club, but I'll probably talk more about those in the future. So number 18, on that note, moving on to number 18, again, a good victory, something to enjoy for the now, and I think trying to build on as well, not just rest on our laurels, but not be too complacent, but keep going forward. Again, I don't want to be arrogant or complacent, and I want to keep going forward. And things like that. And I hope the club can do a lot of good stuff, good causes, things like that. Number 19, on that note, as I say, supporting like Jamaican entrepreneurs, helping Jamaica to rebuild its economy, helping to fund like entrepreneurial hubs and tech hubs for Jamaica and the Caribbean, Asia, Africa and Asia, and for the Black British community and others. So again, hopefully that's good for the club's PR. So as much as we give away to good causes, and as much as hopefully it will genuinely benefit those people, generally and genuinely. It would hopefully benefit the club and come back to benefit the club. And as their economies grow and they do well, hopefully they'll give back to the club. Ideally, not everyone's reciprocal or appreciative, but hopefully most people are. I hope, or whatever. But or at least if a few of them are, hopefully it will benefit the club, like they call it, loss leading products, projections, and things like that. Just like Man United does with their foundation, and Celtic has done it in the past as well, and hopefully can do so even more, bigger scale. And number 20. On that note, I dream that the club can provide things to teach people about STEM across Africa and again for the Caribbean and that kind of thing. So to help Black people in STEM, help people from Ireland, the Irish diaspora, help to provide PCs, laptops, and mobile phones for all possible people from Africa, from all possible African citizens, and also tech training opportunities. And on that note, it's a beautiful Sunday, and I'm out. And peace and love.